I talk a lot about natural cycles that happen over and over again throughout history. They influence everything from climate to the economy to our health. But there are man-made cycles that we create ourselves over and over and over again. And they cause financial booms and financial busts. And honestly, we have to be the dumbest creatures on earth because we don't learn from the past. We just keep booming and busting in a very predictable pattern. Now, if you understand the man-made money cycle, though, you can beat the system and stay prosperous in just about any economy. Governments and banks are the cause of this boom-bust cycle. They get together to create inflation, and then they promote it as a good idea. Well, it's good for them, not for us. What inflation does is devalue our money. So, for example, since 1913, the dollar has lost 96% of its value. That's why everything seems to continually get more expensive. In actual fact, it's our money that becomes almost worthless. As time goes on and inflation eats away at the value of the dollar, prices for products and services rise. But as prices rise, and our salaries don't, we find it tougher and tougher to keep buying those new cars. So manufacturers figure out ways to reduce costs by going offshore, for example, for cheaper labor, or they lower the quality of the parts that make up the products. It happens in everything, even food, and that's why we're so overweight and unhealthy. We're eating food that's been sweetened and degraded and that doesn't have much nutrients in it at all. It's why kitchen appliances break down continually. It's why airbags in our cars are blowing up. While prices go up and quality goes down, your salary virtually stays the same, right? So you end up going further and further into debt to maintain your lifestyle. The bottom line is that inflation destroys our economy. It makes us poorer. Governments, however, love inflation because when prices go up, the GDP goes up. Now, the GDP is gross domestic product. That's like the government's salary and assets. It's like their net worth. Actually, it's our hard work as a population, but they get the credit for it. You know that when your salary goes up, when the value of your house goes up, the banks will lend you more money. Well, it's the same for governments. And they take full advantage of it. In fact, we've borrowed so much money, all the G7 countries are bankrupt. Well, there they are. And they all owe more money than they can ever pay back. On the one hand, we the people have had our money destroyed and are living off credit cards. And on the other, governments have mortgaged our future. And government debt is money we owe on top of our personal debt. How do you like our financial system so far? Eventually, when our money is almost worthless, the economy starts to falter. I mean, we're so far in debt that we stop spending. So to spur the economy, governments lower interest rates. They make money really cheap to borrow. And it works for a little while. But what it does is it leads to people buying more homes and overextending themselves. And as a result, in Canada, we have the largest housing bubble in the world. Bubbles always burst, and this one's just about to go. The end result? A huge financial collapse and a major depression. I mean, this happens over and over and over again. We have a big depression every century. You can go check the history on that one. Each crash causes the value of our money to reverse in value. Then we have deflation. That's what happened after the crash in the 1930s. It's where our money actually increases in value. Now, that's actually a good thing for us, but governments hate it because government income goes down and debt becomes even more impossible to pay back. So what does this mean for you? Well, you want to be in cash. Cash is king because cash increases in value. Prices of virtually everything else will drop drastically, and your money will buy more products and services at cheaper prices. Prices of homes, for example, will drop up to 80%. Yes, 80%. You don't want to be in debt because debt also increases in value and credit starts to dry up. Well, what happens is banks start to pull in loans. So most importantly, you want to learn all you can about this thing called deflation. In the 1930s, great fortunes were made by people who understood the man-made money cycle. Now, if you don't, and you're mortgaged to the hilt with an overvalued home, or you have debts you can't pay off, you could end up in financial hot water. But if you play this right, it could be the biggest financial opportunity of your life.